take a second and tell people what have you been doing here at Colossal for all this while?
Yeah, so what's crazy is it feels like we've been around for 100 years, but we've only been around for 4 years. We literally just celebrated our 4-year birthday. So we are the world's first de-extinction and species preservation company. So we're working to do really 2 things. One, bring back these like lost iconic species, number 1. And then 2, we want to use a lot of those technologies and open source that for conservation and help the biodiversity crisis. Because we're kind of in the 6th mass extinction where we're going to lose up to 50% of all biodiversity in the next 25 years. And so if we can help, innovate beyond that and build new tools for conservation while bringing back these iconic species and inspiring kids, that's kind of our mission.
So is it because of climate change that we're going to lose 50% of the biodiversity?
It's a combination, right? It's habitat destruction, it's pollution, it's human-caused climate change. It's really a combination of things, right? Some insect populations due to pesticides and other chemicals. So it's really all just kind of anthropologic or human-caused effects. So it's us, trying to figure out how we live with nature and have this industrialized and technological future that humanity is building. It's how do we build that in congruence? Humanity hasn't really figured that out yet.
Right. And so you said what you do is de-extinction.
Yes.
Do me a favor and explain de-extinction to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah. So if you've seen Jurassic Park, I don't know if your parent, if you're 5, I don't know if your parents let you see it at 5, but it's weird. It's similar to Jurassic Park, and we get that combination all the time where people, or comparison all the time where people are like, oh, it's like Jurassic Park. It's like Jurassic Park. And for a while, we kind of shared away from that. But one of the things that Jurassic Park did a good job is kind of explaining the fundamentals. And so as a 5-year-old, what we do is all of us and humans and animals and plants, we're all made up of these letters that make up DNA. And what we do is we go look up ancient DNA and we build a genome from that. So what is kind of the combination of letters that make an ancient species an ancient species? And we do the same thing for the closest living relatives. And then we use AI and computer models and software to compare the ancient DNA to the closest living relatives so we can understand all the different changes. And just in like Jurassic Park, we then make those changes in the closest living relative. And then once we do that, we get a cell with all the changes that made a mammoth in an Asian elephant cell. And then we put that into its closest living relative. In the case of a woolly mammoth, it's the Asian elephant. And then if everything goes right at the end of that gestation, we actually will have a little baby mammoth.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And by the way, we also have an artificial womb team. So like right now, what's crazy to me is de-extinction seemed like sci-fi like a few years ago. Now, based on what we've achieved with the woolly mouse and then with the dire wolves, and then based on kind of where we're going, de-extinction doesn't even seem like sci-fi anymore to me. The artificial womb stuff still does. Like we're not there yet, but I think that in a perfect world, fast forward to 5 years or so, I hope that we can actually be gestating not just extinct species in artificial wombs, but how can we use artificial wombs to like productionize endangered species, right? And so you've probably heard of the Northern White Rhino Project and others. How do we end up growing, 100 genetically diverse with different diversity engineered into them rhinos in a lab, so you never even have to work with animals from a surrogacy perspective. And so how do we use these technologies to productionize endangered species? I think that's what we're going to have to do to really save critically endangered species.
So the first step would be then to figure out the genome sequencing and then change the modern DNA to match ancient DNA?
Correct.
And then surrogate it inside the closest living species.
One other step I forgot to mention is what we then have to do is somatic cell nuclear transfer, better known as cloning, for like what we did with Dolly. We as humanity, not Colossal, did with Dolly, where you actually take the nucleus of that edited cell and put it into an egg cell and then put it in to create an embryo. So you're not really fertilizing an egg, you're actually just engineering an embryo.
That's very interesting. I want to get to the science of it in just a second.
Yeah.
But and this adjacent project about the artificial womb basically allows you to do this at scale because you don't have to mess with animal rights and such? Is that the intent?
Yeah, so we're certified by American Humane and Humane Global. So everything we do is we spend a lot of time on animal welfare. I think if you're working on conservation and biodiversity, and you're not focusing on animal welfare in the process, I think you're kind of missing the forest for the trees, right? So we are doing that, and so everything we do is safe for the animals and certified. But at the same time, if you want to hit true scale, right, it takes 22 months to gestate an elephant and a mammoth. It takes 15 months to gestate, I think it's 15 to 16 months to gestate a rhino. And in all these different species, if you really want to hit scale, that's a lot of surrogacy work. And especially with endangered animals like the two northern white rhinos left that are female, one of them's aged out. She can't even have kids anymore. So you really have one, right? And so you think about every 15 months, if you were perfect on the estrus cycle and you were perfect on the implantation every single time, which doesn't happen even in humans, so I doubt it's going to work in northern white rhinos, that you're going to limit the number of offspring that you could have. If you could serialize that and parallelize it by having it all done ex utero, you could grow 1,000 mammoths or 1,000 northern white rhinos, in a lab. So the artificial womb, to me, it's not critical path for the de-extinction work, but it is really critical path for the scale of the de-extinction work that we want to do.